It's Monday, September 22nd. Let's level up. Market was up again today, but we did have a few things that were a little bit of an outlier. We did have the VIX up a bit, and we also had crypto down. Now, the VIX being up could have just been traders re-upping their protection or even just putting on short plays after the quad witch on Friday. So I'm not making that much of it just yet, but we have seen this in the last couple of sessions leading him to the quad witch and now a little bit after. If it continues further, I'd start getting a little concerned. I have an alert over 1676. If that clears, there's a little bit more room up there to 1727, but after that it starts getting more problematic. That of course being the high from 917 and then also the 100 MA. If we clear the 100 MA, the 200 MA is at 1919 and the 100 and 200 MA have both served as resistance. As far as futures go, we did make it up to the channel high here. If we were to continue on and hit the channel high again by the open, you'd be looking at 67.62. If there is a liquidation break, we could repair today's rich close to 67.3375 and retest the last high at 67.31.5. After that at 67.1975 and then basically 6700. If 6700 can't hold, we could see significantly lower. I still think we're digesting these 6700s, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of back and forth here. As far as Qs go, if we were to get up to the channel high again by the open, you're looking at 25,043.75. If there's a liquidation break, the repair of the rich closes 24,920.75 and to the last high at 24,888. After that, you're looking at 24,816. I still think there's a little bit of digestion up here at the 25,000 though. As far as SPY goes, pullbacks to the 10 MA are still healthy at 659.05. However, that would be a significant pullback considering today's big up candle. If we were to make it to the channel high in SPY, we'd be looking at 66.81. The 2 times range we've been targeting is 673.09. As far as the Qs go, very big move today. Basically, I think you could use 600 as a stop. Anything over that, we could see a move to the channel high at 605.13. The 2 times range I've been looking for is 607.80. On the downside, the first big pullback level would be 593.20 to 590.17, which is magenta channel low down to the 10 MA, and a check back to the breakout there on a larger liquidation break would be to the 583. So if you want to do some kind of protection play targeting the 583s as a hedge against longs and maybe selling some upside calls like 610s, I'm good with that. Really hard to get the market down when you have stocks like Apple up $10. Apple's, by the way, passed the channel high and we're very close to my 260 target that we've been looking for. I told you by the end of the year, market being cooperative, we would get there, and we got there way before then. If we do get a move up to the channel high, you're looking at 266.23. I think if you want to be careful, don't let it get below 250 on you. If you don't want to give it that much rope, 250.378 was today's VWAP. That's as good of a stop as any. What I think really sent it today, and by the way, the market had very weak breadth, it was still in the 1-to-1 levels, was NVIDIA catching a bid. We got news that they have a big deal with OpenAI, basically selling the amount of chips that they would sometimes sell in a year all in one order. We're back up to the reference highs, but we weren't really able to clear and hold. Bulls there need to clear 184.48 and they could get a pump closer to the 200 level. I'd start getting concerned maybe back below the 181s, that's today's VWAP, but generally I think that these stocks still have upside potential. Sometimes we see this after earnings where it's a little disappointing, it kind of meanders for a little and then recharges back to the upside. I'd mentioned on the stream today Intuit, we had pulled back to the 640.26 reference 61.8 of the range. If there's symmetry on the upside, that would be 747.44, which by the way is a volume node, so that would be a big upside target there on Intuit. Tesla is still very impressive. I told you there's a big pull forward in the EVs. I myself got one. We are up near the channel high now, so I do think that the risk reward here is starting to dwindle a bit. I wouldn't let it get below 429.84 on you, which is the 78.6 of the range. It wouldn't surprise me to see a run at the highs at 488s, but do have earnings coming up on 10/22. I think that the numbers are going to be good. I just worry about the guide forward, given the fact that there's that big pull forward. And I know from some of the YouTube channels I'm watching that inventories are very low. So even if there are buyers, there might not be cars to fulfill those orders. The good news Tesla got today, though, was the IRS clarifying that you don't have to take delivery by September 30th to get in the car. With the tax credit, you just have to have a signed contract with a deposit down. So if you do that up till September 30th and deliveries are delayed into October October, maybe even November, it's still fine because those will still count toward those EV tax credits. So it's a little bit actually of an extension in my view, because you wouldn't be able to buy the Tesla and get delivery on September 30th. So effectively that cutoff would have happened already, and now they're getting another week or two of sales on top of that to qualify for those tax credits. Google's still looking very strong. It hit my 2.618 at 255.37. Good opportunity to trim some profits. If it pulls back, 246.76 is a other time frame, 2.618, and it's also the 10 MA. Good raise stop there. Probably wouldn't get too concerned unless that cracks, but it could happen quickly considering how high we are up. Amazon has been a little bit of a laggard. I'm thinking this one may play a little bit of catch up, although we did have a pretty big down move today. The trade has been, when we go below the 50 MA, which is currently 227.79, and then back up above it, that has been the long. We're now a little bit below it. Keep an eye on if a back up above it. 20 MA would be the upside target there at 230.78. I think 230.78 to 231.16 would be the big upside targets there. 61.8 is a little lower at 216.94. If we do keep plowing down, 223.98 could be a downside target there. That's the 50% fib of the entire range. As far as Bitcoin goes, it's been playing between some key levels. I had told you 117,610 plus would likely be a good trim point and some resistance. It was. We pulled back. This 112,345 to 113,045, even down to the 100 MA, could still qualify here at 111,024 and rising. So we are back down into some key support. First off, for the bulls, they need to get over the 20 MA at 113,491. If they do, we probably get a move back up to the 50 MA at 115,754. If we can't hold the 100 MA here and we start slipping below the waves, the next big support zone comes in between 108,960 and 110,150. Gold still on the way up. We got my 2 times range and then some at 343.48. 2.618 is up at 359.43. Could we get there? Very possible. I would use that 343.48 plus now as an opportunity to trim some gains, maybe even use as a stop below today's low of day at 341.84. I told you before, gold doesn't usually end in whimpers. It ends in these big up candles and ends with excess. GDX also, we got my 2 times range here at 73.08. Could get up to the 85.33 before this is all said and done, but I think today's low of day at 72.84 is a good raise stop. Keep an eye on this TLT. We have seen interest rates going higher post-Fed decision. That's what happened the last time. So a little bit of recency bias, but hey, it is what it is. The key support here now is between 88.09 and 88.44. That, of course, being the 630 reference high and the 200 MA. Pullbacks to this area are still okay, but it must hold there. Anything more than that, we're looking at a significantly larger pullback, which could become market impacting. Generally speaking, markets are up. We are seeing a bit of a narrowing of breath. The big cap tech stocks are riding to the rescue here. It is taking things back up, these mega powers, mega cap type names. I do think that there's opportunities here to trim profits into our projected fib extensions and reference old highs. Careful here if we don't get VIX to cool off. If the VIX continues to heat up, I do think that the rally is on borrowed time and maybe on fumes, and we could be seeing some pullback. Remember, there's an old saying of sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur doesn't end until October 2nd. So we are technically coming into a bit of a seasonally weak period. October does tend to be an interesting time period for crypto, so we'll see if that reignites. I still think that there's some up room here in NVIDIA and Apple. If those stocks put the market on its back, they could just carry it higher. But we don't want to see breadth really deteriorate too much, and it's just a handful of stocks bringing the market up, because once those get pullbacks, the whole market could come down. Yeah, we've seen a lot of rotation back and forth, but those are the generals, and they're the big factors in the big cap market ETFs and in tech ETFs. So selling sometimes begets selling, just like buying begets buying. Like and follow for more.